to carry on with the banners, certainly I can, you know, put out that request.
Well, go ahead, Manfred.
Okay, with the Yannicka and me, we go for a drive every afternoon just to get out of the house. We stay in the car and then we come back home and go in the house. But there's most certainly only a very small percentage of traffic on the road than what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So what use would the banners be with nobody driving and seeing the banners? I feel it's a bit of a waste of time and effort at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have does anybody have any ideas of some other way that we might be able to mark the day virtually? I know with go ahead, Tammy. Did you have a comment?
I did. The other thing that we usually do is put an article.
Oh, we've lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yep.
Oh, okay. I do know that we usually put an article in the newspaper, and the article has been drafted. It's very similar to years past, and we did review it at our last meeting that we were all together.
Great.
I'm happy to submit it to the newspapers. I do get the simco.com newspaper, and I did get a flyer instead of a newspaper to say that they aren't sending it out at this time because of COVID. So maybe it's something that we could post on the website in lieu of the newspaper. I'm not sure if Creemore Echo is still running their regular paper. They are, Deb.
Yes, we do.
So I could certainly continue to put it in that paper as we always do. But I think the simco.com, or the one that circulates in New Lowell and Wasaga, has scaled right back. But that is another way that we mark the week, you know, from a communication standpoint. So I'm happy to take recommendations from the committee on how you'd like to address that.
Does anybody have any comments? Yes, Councillor McKechnie.
Yeah. So no, I agree. Well, with both Manfred and Tammy, I think that putting up a banner across the street, I think that may be sort of sending the wrong message during this crisis. So I agree. Let's not do the banner, and I think just something in the Creemore Echo would be fine. And but can we, like the article that you were going to put in, Tammy, does that sort of recognize the COVID-19 crisis at all in the article as well, or just wondering?
Actually, it does not. So when we created that article, it was a few months ago before COVID had really hit. But certainly it can be adjusted. And if I'm not sure on process here, and Kayla can offer some suggestions, or Chair can let me know, but I could adjust the article if you so wish, and circulate it to the group for approval. I'm not sure if it needs to be approved during the meeting, but certainly it could be adjusted, and there is a fear of that, of not being sensitive to COVID with the advertising of the week. But again, I look for your direction.
Right. Personally, I mean, maybe the rest of the committee may want to see the article. I'm not really too concerned. I trust your judgment. I'm sure it'll be very good. I just thought that maybe an acknowledgement of COVID-19 could be put in the article somewhere. Just, you know, otherwise it may also be deemed insensitive. But anyway, I'll leave that up to your judgment. So, but definitely, I think the banners, that's a waste of money as far as I'm concerned this year. So.
Well, as I remember correctly, I think the article itself was fairly, it covered a fair number of things, and I think we were really happy with it at the time. And, you know, I think some of what's going on now kind of makes it gainfully obvious for somebody who could connect with COVID-19 and people that are housebound. They have a new we all have a new appreciation for it, I think. You know, just the idea of going to get groceries being kind of the issue that it is. If we go ahead and do, I think personally, I think you should go ahead with the newspapers and look at posting it on our own website if possible. And I think if that's okay with everyone.
Yep. Also the sign in front of the fire hall. Maybe it could be posted there.
That's true too. Yep. You could note it there.
Yep.
We have, sorry.
Go ahead,
So
Deb.
we have a web page, right?
Yes.
Clearview has a web page that we can post it on, correct? Do they also have a Facebook page?
There's a there. Go ahead, Tammy.
Sorry, I was just going to say there is a Discover Clearview page that we use, and we could certainly ask it to be placed there if the committee wishes as well.
It's just that there's so much activity now on things like Facebook and Twitter and whatever the rest of them are.
Instagram and yeah.
Thank you, Instagram and whatever. It might be more impact if it's on something like Facebook. I don't know.
Okay.
So what I can do is I can seek the assistance of Drew Hale. She's our communications person, and she is really great at these type of communications, and I could look to her for her advice on, you know, because our news article, Deb, you're absolutely correct, is quite long. It talks about the history of accessibility week and the Rick Hansen Foundation and so on and so forth, and so it is long. It takes up a full page in a regular newspaper ad, but certainly Drew Hale could help us with some shorter forms of communication. Maybe I could get her to pull the important pieces out of there, and if you'd like it on Facebook under the Discover Clearview page, and if for the fire hall sign, she manages that as well. And then certainly we could put the full article on our webpage, I think. Technology, you know, of course, considered there, but I think that she could at least take what we have and take the best pieces of it to use with social media if you'd like.
Yeah, if we had some pictures available too, that's always helpful on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. Just kind of the new things that we did, like installing the doors at the Stain Arena and stuff like that, might, if we do have pictures of that, that's always pictures worth 1,000 words.
And I can check into that. I know that right now those facilities are closed, but certainly I can look to see if we've got pictures of the finished projects.
Okay, that would be great. I have no communications. Kayla, have we received anything that we need to bring forward?
Nope, nothing aside from the Creamore Village Green that I'm aware of at this point.
Okay, so let's move on to item 7, which is the Creamore Village Green. Terry, did you want to make any comments?
Sure, thanks, Deb. Sorry, my mouse is on the multiple screens here and I got to slide it back to the main screen. Yeah, sure. So I know this is going to be a little difficult for the committee because I think typically, you know, we're in council chambers and we have these nice big printouts of what these plans look like, and the committee has a chance to go through it and look and ask a lot of questions. And I know it's going to be much more difficult this time around with the way we have it set up. And there were some earlier comments, I think, from Councilor McKechnie that said that it was hard to see. So I have the drawings here in front of me. Now, I was trying to get a hold of Abby this morning. She's one of the consultants that's working on this plan to see if this is a final, because the version that we've received and that you've received through your email is it's just a draft form, so it's not the final, like, you know, final for construction. So so with that being said, there's I mean, I've seen many versions of these drawings, and I could tell you that it has significantly downscaled from what it was originally intended. Originally, there was going to be an event stage, like an elevated stage with lights and all kinds of bells and whistles. And the version that they have now, it's more of a park setup, more landscaping, more, so there's a lot of terraces. There's these thing that's called I want to get it right, raised timber seating plinth, I think it's called. So much smaller, more park-like. So there's and of course there's storage buildings and that kind of stuff. So I think the project is pretty simple. There is a lot of accessibility components to the project. There's all kinds of stuff that's, ramps and, but it's very extensive. So I think we're just looking for the feedback from the committee at this point, from the accessibility committee. And if there's any concerns that you may have seen through the drawings. I know the Village Green Committee, they want to take advantage of the weather and they want to start construction or at least the landscaping as soon as possible. But they still have a lot of hurdles. I mean, they still have to provide a final drawing to the building department. We still have to share this final document with our engineers, being Burnside, and council still has to make a final stamp of approval on this project as well. So from a timing perspective, it's going to be challenging for the Village Green Committee to pull this off for this summer, but hopefully they do. So I guess time is of the essence is what I'm trying to say. So hopefully the committee can provide some feedback, and I'm hoping to have a conference call with the Village Green crew soon to answer some of the questions that they have, and obviously I have some questions for them as well. So whatever materializes from this meeting and from any feedback you guys provide, I'll definitely provide that back to the Village Green Committee as well.
So my first question is, where are they planning on having the accessible parking that they're taking out from the side of the station on the green? Where are they planning on relocating that?
That's a very good question, Deb. From what I can tell from the drawing is, it looks like they're still using the existing parking at the station on the green, the accessibility parking that's there. But from what I can tell, these drawings don't show that. But perhaps Scott has seen it, and maybe he can help clarify.
Yeah, I haven't seen these drawings actually till now, but I'm not aware of any permits being submitted as of yet either for anything. But no, it was when I first saw the preliminaries a while back. I haven't seen this draft, but Deb's right on. I first saw the accessible parking being used for the park, so I wasn't sure where they were going either. It was one of my questions. So Deb, you've already hit one of those nails that I was looking at, but yeah, I'm still trying to look on my small screen at these drawings as well. It is a little difficult, so to agree with the rest of people looking at this, it's been a little bit of a challenge for me looking at the plan on my screen here. So
Deb, do you have any comments? Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I don't, not at this point.
Okay. Terry?
Again, Deb, looking very quickly at the drawing, there seems to be automobiles on the drawing that's in the area behind the previous bank. So if you look at the drawings, there's cars there, but it hasn't been identified as accessible parking. So I'll have to get that clarified, obviously.
That's a private parking area, is it not? That's behind there where the car is?
Yes, you are correct, Deb.
Sorry. That's the building B. Yeah, that's the building
behind. Yeah.
Right there,
behind.
right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. There's nothing identified.
Okay.
But I can get clarification.
Yeah. So, Manfred, what sort of comments do you have?
I would like to have a look at it. I'd like to go to Cremont and have a look at it. And if you stay 6 feet away from each other, I think we all could show up and see what we're talking about. With the accessible parking, I can see accessible parking right on the main street, right in front of the whole project. Because what used to be the public parking there for people to go into the bank is gone. So now there is about three parking spaces, I would say. They should be all designated handicap parking.
Mhm.
That's just
my only concern about putting that parking being there is that for Station on the Green, that's an awful long ways away. Yes, Doug? Mayor Measures, sorry.
Oh, that works. By looking at the drawings, it appears that they haven't even indicated what accessible parking would be available. So to me, this is something that staff need to take back to their designer to confirm, because it not only impacts the Village Green project, it also impacts the use of the Station on the Green. So that committee will also be interested in that aspect as well. So I think that is certainly a good question that needs to go back to the designer. And since we're here, and I do have the share screen, I don't know if it works or not, but I thought I'd try it if you guys wanted to see it. Is that possible?
Yep.
See,
Go ahead.
I'll give it a go and see what happens. Kayla, save me if it doesn't work. Oh, the host disabled participant share screening, so it's been disabled.
Okay, Kayla, if you make Mayor Measures, can you make him a co-host?
Apparently I'm a super host according to but I don't understand, it's not working. So anyway, my suggestion still be valid. I think you need to take it back to staff. I think
you're the host now.
Your committee needs to ask the staff to review this with the designers and bring it back.
Try and share your screen. You should be able to now.
Can I jump in here too on the accessible parking? So I do have it up on my other computer here. So there is yeah, there we go. Let me get my, thanks. Let me have a look here. Hang on a second. So there's an entrance from the Foodland. It looks like it's right beside the Foodland building to the Village Green, and there's a bike rack proposed there and I believe that would be on the Foodland property. So I have two questions. Is it appropriate to have a bike rack right beside the entrance to the Village Green? Yes, that's a bike rack right there where and the entrance there. So what I'm wondering is, I don't know where the Foodland accessible parking is, but I'm just wondering if maybe that could be closer, instead of having that bike rack, and pretty much where that arrow is where the bike rack is. You can see the dash lines or the hashed lines there. That's where the bike rack is. I'm just wondering about having accessible parking more in there, and then maybe making sure that entrance from there into the Village Green is proper for accessible purposes. I don't mind personally a bike rack there, but I'm just thinking that, if it gets cluttered, if that area gets cluttered with bikes or with backpacks and things like that, that's my only concern. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents for it. But I assume that the Village Green people would have to talk to the Foodland people, because that's definitely the Foodland parking lot. So they would have to talk to them about that.
So I just want to jump in. You guys can see my arrow here on the screen.
Yep.
So this is bicycle parking as well.
Yes.
If you look, it's the same graphic as this. So over here. So the accessible parking should either be here or adjacent to the building on this side. And I guess the significant change that's been presented is the stage which is this area here. The stage is being moved from where the where it was originally proposed in the last large public meeting. So that's the sort of the light bulb moment here, that there's a little bit of a change. If you recall, the stage would have been sort of positioned in this area here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I saw it last, was right in there, Doug.
Yeah, I agree. So in fact, the original drawing showed it here. But if you look carefully, this is the fountain. Can you see the arrow on the fountain?
Mm-hmm.
That's the fountain that's being moved. So the current position of the fountain is somewhere in this neighborhood right here, and it's being relocated here. I honestly think that's a really good idea, because it puts the fountain closer to the sidewalk, closer to the street, maybe bringing a little bit of attention to it. I think it also opens up more of actual flower beds and planting beds across the whole center of the village green. So that's a positive thing. But to this committee's point, Madam Chair, I think we need to talk about the accessible parking for sure. And I think it's notable that the laneways or the pathways within the facility appear to have all the correct distances that would make it comfortable to operate somebody in a chair or mobility device. So it looks, at this quick review, it looks like it to me. So,
Mayor Measures, could you show page 6? I think page 6 is a little bit more clear.
okay, let me stand by here. I'll go find it. I have to dig it out while you guys are talking.
Oh, sorry, you were on page 7 and then you went to page 8.
Oh, did I? Oh,
yeah,
crap. Sorry.
that's okay.
So is there elevations on the stage and stuff like that as well?
What was that, Deb?
I said, have you, sorry, are there ramps up to the stage and stuff like that? Like, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if Mayor Measures can bring up page 6 again, it does show the access ramps.
Gonna try this one more time. Is that what you're looking for? Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
At the top, Mayor Measures, it says 11 of 29.
Yeah,
If you go 6 of 29.
I'm trying. Is that what you're looking for?
Sorry, Mayor Measures, page 5. One more. One more.
Okay.
That's the one.
Okay.
So now you can see the access ramps to the stage. You could see the raised seating.
Oh, okay.
You could see the walkways. You could see the landscaping, the terrace. It's all identified, bike racks.
Okay. It's very small, but okay.
So my comment earlier is that it looks and appears like it has the intention of having space for accessible users to use the parklands. And I believe in the comments when I was reading some of the paperwork that goes with this, they talked about the type of surfaces having a mixture of stone and various cultured stone being used. So that'll be a type of surface that will accommodate wheeled devices to be moved around on them. So I mean, it's pretty good in that respect. So.
Okay. And
Can I help you with anything further here, Deb? I'm just looking for different things on this that you might want to.
is there an intent for raised flower beds somewhere?
Terry, that's new to me. What do you think?
I think I read that there was some raised flower beds, you know, along the edges. So, like in front of Foodland.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in front of Foodland there. So, further towards Station on the Green from the stage along that outside edge, I think I read that that was a raised bed, and that there were raised beds, you know, at the front, closer to the street. So all those sort of zigzag edges, and that those were benches sitting on top of the raised walls.
Okay, okay.
So did anybody else see that? I mean, I'm not an expert at reading the drawings, so.
Yeah, there's a raised planter down here.
Yeah, I had the impression that any of those raised beds sort of had almost like benches or whatever around them. So it's not like someone could just sort of walk right into them. They're raised, and you can actually sit on the wooden benches around them. That was the impression I had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so perhaps, Madam Chair, that's another question we can have clarified, is the elevation of the beds, if they are suitable to meet accessibility needs.
So when this is all done, is the intention that it's going to be volunteers that are maintaining those beds and stuff, or is it the intention that staff will be maintaining those beds?
Can I put that question to Terry Vachon? He's been making the plans on that.
Yeah, so the intention, Deb, is for the committee, the Village Green Committee will have their own paid staff. So they will have a paid events coordinator to organize events at the park, and they will also have a paid maintenance person. It won't be township staff, it'll be Village Green Committee staff.
Okay.
They may use volunteers. They may be working with volunteers, but they'll have one paid dedicated maintenance person.
Okay, so sorry, I'm thinking kind of down the road with this, but if you're going to have volunteer staff, then you need to allow for people with certain limitations to be able to participate, right, in part of it. So the raised beds are great if they're accessible for somebody, like for a volunteer who may be in a chair or, you know, can't bend down into the ground, to be able to access them. And these are at a level where they're available to people, right? But they may not be available to people to work in, right? So that's the only thing, because it's always been a public space, and I know the horticulture has been always involved in what was there. And I think we should be looking at that. Raised beds, we should be looking at whether people will be able to access them to help maintain them, right?
Yep, I noted in my notes, and I'll definitely ask them about that.
Okay, Manfred, do you have any comments?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay.
Be a challenge to move that fountain.
Deb,
Sorry,
how high are you thinking of the beds? How, if people, if we're making them accessible to work in, how high would they have to be?
Scott, do you have the numbers off the top of your head?
I'm going to stop sharing for a second and see if I can find something. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'm not sure of that number.
Because I have a feeling that it's somewhere around 17 inches, but I don't know for sure. What are you doing? This way. This way.
I I'm a guy, I'm trying to figure out what 17 inches is here.
It's bigger than how you look on the screen right now.
Actually, where did I go here? Hang on a second. Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, I got it here. So I think that's probably about the height of them, because my impression was that when I looked at the drawings that I saw, was that it was something that you could go and you could sit on. Well, that would be about 17 inches, bench or whatever. So that was the impression that I got, was that was probably about how high they would be off the ground. So.
Yeah, the benches are probably that level, but it's whether like you're gonna look at somebody twisting around to work in the garden, whereas if they, if there was a lip or something, and it doesn't have to be all of it, just part of it, right? That people can work on and participate. Yes, Scott.
Under answer. So in the FADS document, under 45.2. Accessible plant beds at the community gardens, 10% of the community garden plots in an area, but not less than one, must be accessible. Sentence 2, the accessible plant beds must be 1,000 millimeters wide and 400 millimeters. So that's your height. So that's about 416 inches, about that. And the width at 1,000 is 1 meter, so almost 3 feet, I think. I'll just give it a second. Yeah, 40 inches.
How?
So 40 inches.
How high did you say?
Height is 16 inches, 400 millimeters.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Show you the pictogram, maybe. Back here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and I guess the comment is if they're making the raised beds, to just make sure that they're within those tolerances. Part of it's within those tolerances. Now, yes, Mayor Measures?
Yes, I was just going to say I have another page to share. It's just the drawing of the bench setup. So if you're interested, I could just click on that and we'll take a quick look. It doesn't, are you seeing it now, folks?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't actually have any, unless these are inches and millimeters, etc. But does that help regarding the bench?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and then this is the other flat top bench over here on this side. So I think these need to be looked at a little closer on paper. It's probably pretty difficult to for this committee to really review them in this fashion, but I would suggest, again, this is another question for staff to take back to these folks and see if we can get some answers. Okay, I'll shut that off.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me play here and.
Okay. Is there anything? Yeah, it looks like a very busy space for the size of the space. But I guess maybe the bank property is much bigger than I think it is. But is there anything else that people want to make comments about, concerns about? Yeah. Yes.
The pathways, what are they? Are they solid concrete or wood chips or stone chips? What are they made out of?
I think they're a mixed material, are they not? There's different pathways that are different types of material. That was going to be one of the questions that I had, that, just wanted to double check that those materials are accessible, that people will be able to, if they're visually impaired, are they going to stumble on them? And if they're, in a chair, will they be able to roll over them? I believe some of them are interlocking stone, some of them are granite, if I read right. So there's many different types of pathways, which I think is really great. It's going to give some differentiation for color, which will be needed as well, but I just wasn't sure about the types of material, if it's accessible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess my, the other thing is whenever they're talking about seating as well, they'll need to make sure that part of it is accessible. I know it talks about movable chairs in part of it, but that's the other thing is we'll have to look at
Yeah, I noticed.
Accessibility of some of the seating and stuff. Right.
It looks like all the tables and chairs, there aren't any accessible tables, but if the seating is movable from those tables, then maybe. I hope that we can prevent vandalism and them not being stolen. But
yeah, and and there's a I think we have to look at the spaces where the seating is too, and look at that. We ran into this at Gowan Park. The less than 9 has to have at least one accessible, or it's 10%, I think is how it works. Am I correct, Scott? Am I correct with that number?
Are you say that number again?
I think if you have less than 9 spots, you have to have at least one accessible. If it's more than that, it's 10%.
This is in regards to the seating, right?
Yeah.
So that's in benches and seating. So that's in your site furniture section. It was 42. I think it was 20% if I remember last. When I read that
20%.
One meeting, but just give me a second here.
Yeah.
And I just counted, it looks like there's 20 tables and chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the only thing that I would say is because there are different areas that maybe they look at them differently. So if there's 9 spots in one area or 10 spots in one area, whatever it is, and make sure that, there isn't 20% overall. They look at 20% in each of the areas because they are a fair distance apart.
Yeah, so it is 20% of benches, it says, to be accessible. It gives specifics on what that's supposed to look like, of course.
Yeah.
It mentions picnic tables. Just says site furniture must be cane detectable, color and contrast, stuff like that. It's saying furniture must be securely mounted, firm, stable ground. Nothing on movable chairs seating here that I can see mentioned. So, but section 42 of site furniture is mentioned in the FADS document.
Okay. Terry, do you have any idea as to what type of furniture they're looking at as far as those round tables and stuff?
No, Deb, sorry, I don't know. I don't even know if they've gotten to that level yet.
Okay.
Detail, but no, I'm not aware.
Okay, well, just even if they haven't got to that detail, maybe the comment should be is when you are looking at these tables and chairs, if they're going to be mounted, to figure out a portion of it to be accessible, right? If they're movable, and the other thing is if they're movable, they'll get up and walk away, right? That's I don't know.
You got that right.
Doug, your facial expressions, Mayor measures your facial expressions are 1,000 words. He's muted, but he's just nodding his head.
It's all about communicating, folks. It's all about communicating.
Yep. Right.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody else sees that they want to make comment on? Okay, can I have yes, Terry?
Sorry, I was just thinking, so this is obviously in the draft format. There could be changes between a draft and a final. Like I said earlier, I'm waiting to see if we're going to get a final.
Okay.
if I get a final in the next couple of days, I'll definitely share it with Kayla, and Kayla can share it with you guys. And if there's any changes, we'll get those identified.
Okay.
So you have to try to find it. Hopefully they'll be identified in the email so you can see what changes were made. Like I said, every version that I've seen of these have had significant changes. So if there's significant changes, then maybe we'll have to have another meeting to go over those changes, and maybe I'll have answers that were identified today as part of that meeting as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully this group is able and willing to have another meeting if required. If there's no changes and no comments and no feedbacks, then we could probably move to the next stage, which is the Creedmoor Community Foundation providing the permit and the design to the building department. But if there's significant changes, then perhaps we can have another meeting like this. We could put it up on the screen like Mayor Measures did, and we can go through some of those changes if any.
Okay. And I think, Kayla, you have a list of what our comments have been so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So can we have a motion from the floor to send those comments through the appropriate channels so that they can be brought to attention to the foundation?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I would suggest that they be taken to staff. The staff can then communicate.
Yeah.
Exactly. That would be the appropriate channels.
Okay. Kayla will word it properly. She's good at that. Okay. Councillor McKechnie made the motion. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, Deb? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, yeah, and then if we need to, whoops, sorry. If we need to get together again, Terry, or if the foundation wants to meet with us or has other questions or whatever, we can do that. Okay. Okay, any new business or around town items? No? Okay.
I noticed walking up and down the main street that some of the unevenness of the sidewalks has been corrected. I think
Oh, that's good.
town staff for that, and they're working on the parks, which is nice. I think the town staff is doing a great job looking after things.
Well, it's the new reality. I'm one of the county staff that has been redeployed, so I've been down at Simcoe Manor since the 6th of April, working in the manor. So it's been very different. We thought that there would be a real upsurge in Ontario Works, and it didn't happen with the money that the federal government provided. So my mornings I start work at 5:30 and done at 1:30. So it's kind of interesting, a new reality for me. But I hope everybody's staying healthy. I think it seems like we've been relatively lucky here, knock on wood. People are more stir crazy than anything else, and that's good. If all it is stir crazy, that's good. Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for June 9th. And unless we hear something from through Kayla, or from Terry through Kayla, and we can maybe look at scheduling something different or something comes up. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
And Manfred second. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, and with that, stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. Okay, and we'll see you on the 9th, if not before. Okay.
All right.